So over the weekend down in Panama, there was a couple of really interesting WBC World Title Eliminators. There was a Super Bantamweight Eliminator. It was actually for the silver belt, which is basically an eliminator. You become the mandatory for the WBC champion, currently Ray Vargas. There was an eliminator between Julio Ceja, former champion, as well as Anselmo Moreno, former bantamweight champion. Long-time bantamweight title holder, guy that reigned supreme for there a number of years. And then also there was a minimum weight, aka straw weight, 105-pound eliminator between Leroy Estrada of Panama against Saul Juarez of Mexico. So a couple of interesting Mexico versus Panama bouts. I'm going to start off with the main event, Ceja versus Ceja versus Moreno. I was thinking about Hugo Ruiz because that's the man that Ceja had fought twice previously for the full title, the full WBC title, after Leo Santa Cruz moved up and vacated it. But here against Moreno, didn't really waste a lot of time getting to work. He is a power puncher, knockout artist, 31-2 with 28 knockouts now. Went in there and took Anselmo Moreno out, man. Took the smaller man out. Did what you're supposed to do as a puncher, and as a puncher facing off against a guy moving up in weight. Get welcoming him into the division. Ceja had previously been a bantamweight himself. However, he's a guy that's kind of grown into super bantamweight as he's matured a little bit. 24 now. He's getting his man strength under him most definitely, and he definitely showed that here against Moreno. First round, he got to work. He landed a couple of good body shots. Seemed like Moreno wasn't quite taking him so well. And I don't even necessarily want to say that it's because Moreno's punch resistance is going. It's just that Ceja is an absolute banger of a puncher. All you got to do is look at his knockout ratio to see that. Moreno, was trying to be slick as usual. Quick, slick boxer, puncher. Good skills all around. He's definitely a veteran. Been in the game for a number of years now. But here against Ceja, it's just, even though he was landing some pretty sharp punches early on, it just seemed like the level of power, the differential of power between these two was definitely pronounced. And it seemed like Ceja was definitely moving Moreno with his shots. Moreno would land a good shot off of Ceja, but Ceja would just eat it, keep coming forward, and just break him down. And break him down he did. Pretty much in the third round, managed to catch him with a nice little bit of a combination. It was like a right cross, left uppercut, then a right hand to the body again, and that left uppercut seemed to do a lot of damage to Moreno. I'm sure the body punch didn't help, but the left uppercut definitely seemed to put Moreno down on the canvas. Moreno did manage to beat the 10 count. He got up at about 8, but he definitely looked just disinterested in fighting and continuing the fight. It looked like he got hit with that shot, and even though he was able to kind of recover in time to make the count, it seemed like he was done. He was like, yeah, I don't need to be getting hit with those type of punches now. So I don't know, maybe Moreno's love for the game and passion for the sport, dedication to the sport is waning a bit, and just maybe that last shot to the jaw by Ceja just kind of reminded him, like, maybe it might be time to hang him up, and that's possible. Moreno's had just a long, strong career. Really, really good career. It wasn't necessarily the most financially or I don't want to say critically. He definitely was very critically acclaimed, but like financially and mainstream wise successful fighter around, which is really unfortunate. He's one of these fighters that I know I've said for a number of years now that I think because of the weight class he's at and because he's from someplace like Panama, which doesn't necessarily get as much play in a lot of the English speaking television stations and audiences, the U.S., the U.K., etc. I think he really gets overlooked, unfortunately, and for no real good reason, honestly. To me, he especially going into that Abner Mares fight, and even after that, he was really a bona fide pound for pounder in his own right. Really good fighter, just a really, really good fighter at bantamweight. He was very dominant at the weight class. Moved up to super bantamweight and lost to Abner Mares. And then back down to bantamweight, he lost a pretty controversial decision against Juan Carlos Payano. A lot of people thought that Moreno should have been ahead when that fight got stopped on head clashes, and Payano was slightly ahead, got the technical decision. And then had 2 fantastic fights with Shinsuke Yamanaka. First fight was a close split decision loss for him. Second fight, Yamanaka was able to TKO him, but Moreno did drop Yamanaka in that fight and was able to hurt him several different times in that fight. It was really a fantastic fight of the year candidate last year. I definitely tell anybody and everybody to go watch it. Also got a good decision. Moreno did against Surian Kaikana, brother of Nawapan Kaikana, former champion in his own right. Former Nawapan was a former contender. Um, but here against Ceja, it just seemed like it was just a step too far, for too long. Basically, Ceja's the hungry young lion that Moreno once was. Once upon a time, years ago, back when he was kicking ass at bantamweight, and Ceja's doing the damn thing now at super bantamweight. I mean, he was able to fight through crucial adversity against Hugo Ruiz in their first fight. That was a belt that Leo Santa Cruz vacated, as I mentioned before, moved up to featherweight because he looked like I guess they didn't really want him fighting guys like Ruiz and Ceja for whatever reason. But Ceja definitely proved to be very dangerous in that first fight with Ruiz. Ruiz was outboxing him. Ceja scored a come from behind knockout after being knocked down himself. The second fight, they had the rematch a little over a year ago, and Ruiz managed to defeat Ceja because he dropped Ceja in the first round with a big right hand, and Ceja wound up twisting his ankle on the way down. And while Ceja wanted to continue the fight, the ref was about to let him continue. Ceja, you could just tell he couldn't bear weight on his ankle. He was so as soon as Ruiz started the follow up in the follow up barrage, Ceja really couldn't even balance himself properly. So the ref jumped in, stopped it because Ceja wasn't going to be able to stand up on his feet. So there was no point in continuing the fight. But definitely showed a good comeback performance here against Moreno. It's been over a year actually since that second Ruiz fight, so hopefully Ceja can get back in action fairly soon, get that title shot that is now mandated for him against Rey Vargas. And Rey Vargas is a very good fighter, very good fighter. I mean, if you didn't see my video on him versus Gavin McDonald, check it out. Put on an absolutely beautiful boxing display against McDonald, pretty dominant display as a matter of fact. And just completely schooled the man. Really good fighter. Trained by Nacho Beristain, so he's got that kind of Marquez-esque style to him, but a lot more of like a boxer mover, a little bit more finesse, not necessarily quite as much of an action fighter. But at the same time, Gavin, it's appeared like he wasn't able to really press the action against him. With Ceja will definitely be able to press the action. I mean, that's pretty much the name of his game all day long. So I mean, that's a boxer versus puncher matchup, really. A classic boxer versus puncher matchup is Ceja versus Rey Vargas. I think it's going to be really good. Really good fight between those two. As for Moreno, I mean, hopefully if he retires, I mean, he's had a good long career. I still think he could probably beat a lot of the guys in the super bantamweight division, but Ceja definitely did some work against them. So that's that. Moving on to the co-feature bout, though, Leroy Estrada versus Saul Juarez. Saul Juarez had a really good fight, gave a good run for the money against Kayapan Munsri, aka Wanhan Manayoten, the 46-0 fighter out of Thailand, who's actually going to be fighting here in a couple of days. I'll preview that in another video. But Saul Juarez versus Estrada was actually for the mandatory position to fight Manayoten. And, it was a really good fight between these two. Really closely contested fight. Both of them very quick on their feet. Quick hands from both of them. Saul Juarez is almost like a little bit of a mini Carlos Cuadras. Kind of funny to say mini Carlos Cuadras because Cuadras is pretty small as it is. But, quick hands, quick feet, looking to rattle off combinations. Estrada is actually almost like a mini Anselmo Moreno or a mini like Jezreel Corrales. It's almost like there's kind of like a Panamanian style, kind of a modern Panamanian style kind of being born out of these guys that fight very similarly to each other. Pretty slick, good with combinations though, goes well to the body in order to kind of keep his opponents off of him and keep him being the ring general, being able to stick and move. It seemed like Juarez was shocking Estrada a little bit early with the speed, though. It's like Estrada wasn't quite used to somebody that was able to keep up with him in terms of speed. Juarez with that come forward speed. But it seemed like as the rounds kind of told on, even though Juarez was landing the cleaner, flashier shots in the early rounds, it seemed like Estrada was able to kind of get in gear and, flummox Juarez a little bit. He was able to kind of fight on even terms with Juarez a lot of times on the inside, however. Really good body work from both of them. A lot of hand speed from both of them. A lot of combinations being thrown by both of them, but a lot of good defensive movement from both of them as well. Both of them very classy boxers in their own right. And, I think it was very much like a tit-for-tat type fight. And a very skillful one at that. going all the way until the later rounds, where Juarez actually managed to knock down Estrada with a couple of clean right hands. Caught him with a right hand, caught him with a left hook as Estrada was trying to escape out to his right, as a southpaw trying to escape out to his right, and then caught him with another right hand as Estrada kind of backed himself up into the ropes, or like kind of sidestepped into the ropes, and just kind of got caught there. Was able to recover after that, but even though Juarez seemed to maybe get back into the momentum of the fight, I thought Estrada managed to kind of control the championship rounds as well, the 10, 11, and 12, and basically managed to clinch the decision for himself. I actually thought Estrada won by only a point. The judges had a little bit wider than I did for Estrada, so I think it might have been a little bit of the benefit of the hometown judging. 117 to 110 for two of the judges, 115 to 112 for the third judge. I had it 114 to 113 for Estrada, and that was I was correct. That was the ninth round that Juarez managed to knock Estrada down. So good one for Estrada, man. Juarez to me has been really one of the better fighters at the lower weight classes. A guy that's managed to fight close, if not even defeat some of the higher level guys at these lower weights. I mean, he even moved all the way up to flyweight and defeated Adrian Confessor Hernandez, a guy that's kind of well known for being the guy that Inoue won his first belt off of. Defeated Oswaldo Novoa, who himself was a former 105-pound champ, and even ran Milan Melindo, the current IBF light flyweight champ, very close in a fight that he had with him. Interestingly enough, Juarez actually also defeated Luis Ceja, the brother of Julio Ceja, the little brother of, the little brother in terms of size, but the older brother in terms of age, several years older than Julio is. But Estrada now becomes the mandatory for Wenheng Manayotin, aka Kayapan Munsri, who's actually going to be fighting here in a couple of days in Thailand. He's going to be fighting against Omari Kimweri, who fights out of Australia by way of Tanzania. Interesting thing about Kimweri, I might as well preview that a little bit. Pretty slick boxer, good overall skills and technique and everything. Good test for Wenheng Manayotin. Manayotin is 46-0 now. He's coming upon that TBE record, quote unquote. And I think he's definitely being forced to kind of prove it now. He's definitely fighting some really tough opponents. Saul was a tough opponent. Melvin Jerusalem. Shin Ono was pretty solid. And here, Kimweri is a really, really good fighter as well. And may be primed potentially for the upset here. I think Kimweri is actually a really good fighter. It's kind of funny because they list him on BoxRec at 4'11". But when he showed up in Thailand for the weight check and everything, the medical exams that the WBC does, they saw that Kimweri was like over an inch taller than the 5'2" and change Manayotin. So they may have gotten a little bit more than they bargained for over there. But if Manayotin pulls through and defeats Kimweri, that's definitely another feather in his cap. I mean, another really solid boxer, solidly skilled fighter at the lower weights that he would have beaten. Estrada, I definitely give a solid chance at the winner of that fight, pending how it goes. I mean, considering he just fought very close against Juarez, and Juarez, as I mentioned before, fought a very closely contested fight against Manayotin. Just seemed like he was just slightly a step behind him all the way through with regards to the points, just slightly behind him on points, almost like he was trying to play catch-up the entire time. Allowed Manayotin to get a little bit too much into a rhythm. Wasn't able to quite get him out of that. Manayotin's one of those fighters that's, once he gets into a rhythm, it's damn hard to defeat him. Damn hard to win rounds off of him. But I think that's going to pretty much do it for my review of these two WBC Eliminators. A lot of WBC Eliminators lately, and hopefully that we get these mandatories popping off sooner than later, because I think a lot of these are really, really solid fights. WBC is definitely doing their thing in terms of giving just solid contenders, like solid real contenders, like true blue, legitimate opponents, legitimate contenders for these world titles, and I think they're doing a solid job with how they're able to make these eliminators and the rankings and such. So, props to them for that. We're getting some good, definitely damn good fights out of it. So I think that's going to pretty much do it though, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.